Hey everyone, Kevin here, back with another video. In this one, we will talk about certifications, particularly how to pass the exams. Anyone who is aspiring to get into information technology and eventually cybersecurity will need to be keenly aware of the amount of time, effort, and cash it will take to obtain and maintain your certification credentials. Here, we will focus on the tools and techniques used to pass any exam, including study materials, time frames, and practice questions. But before we begin, a little about me. I have over 15 years of experience in information technology and cybersecurity. I have a number of IT and cybersecurity certifications, including CompTIA's Holy Trinity. That would be the A Plus, Network Plus, Security Plus. I also possess the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner certification, EC Council Certified Ethical Hacker certification, ISACA Certified Information Security Manager certification, and the Holy Grail, ISC Squares CISSP. That's the Certified Information System Security Professional. I also perform some teaching in the field of cybersecurity, and my aim is to help you get into the field of cybersecurity by sharing what I have learned over the years. But before we dive into today's topic, please consider liking this video, sharing it with others, and subscribing, as I'll be releasing new content on a regular basis and you don't want to miss out on the latest video. And with that, let's get after it. Before we begin, I have to give a disclaimer. Viewing this video and following the steps contained will not guarantee a passing score on your certification test. I mean, to be honest, no one can guarantee if you follow a step-by-step process that you'll be successful. It doesn't work for everyone, and the amount of success obtained depends on the individual. It depends on you. What I will say is that these tips and tricks work for me more often than not. I believe in the process, and I'm confident it will work for you if you are diligent in your study. All right, so let's dive in. So, step one, pay for the exam. That's right, I said it. The very first step is to pay for the exam. And the reason why is because the process doesn't become real until you put some skin in the game. For me, if I didn't put the money down, I would find a reason to put it off. Sure, I'll study a few nights here or there, but by paying for the exam and scheduling the exam 2 months from the time of payment, you declare that you are serious about passing the exam. Certifications aren't cheap. And I don't know about you, but the idea of paying a few $100s to take an exam and failing, it just doesn't work for me. Put that money down and put your game face on because it's about to get real. Step two, purchase your study materials and schedule your study time. Be prepared to eat, sleep, and breathe the study material for the exam. You want to fully immerse yourself in the material. Buy your book and at your scheduled time, try to read 1 or 2 chapters daily. Here's a pro tip. I know lots of people who like those paper copies of books, but the digitals work best for me. I would keep a copy on my smartphone, and that way the book is always with me. And whenever I wanted to read a few pages, I would just whip up my phone and get it in. Also, with digital copies, the newest versions of the material seem to be released before the paper copies. Another tip. If you have Amazon Prime, you are entitled to an Audible discount. Now, this isn't an endorsement for either Amazon Prime or Audible, and I'm definitely not getting paid to say this, but I do have an Audible subscription, and being able to listen to the certification audiobooks in the car, during a workout, or whenever or wherever also helps to really absorb that certification's content. Tip for this section, find or make a cram sheet. Now, Pearson makes a series of certification books called Exam Cram. The book would have a red cover with white writing on it. The books themselves were a hard read, complete with technical language and seemingly endless pages. However, what the series is known for, at least to me anyway, is this pullout they will have at the back of the book, the cram sheet. This section will be packed with last-minute material they recommend you commit to memory just before going into the exam. And I absolutely love the cram sheet because it was always spot on. The book itself was a hard read, but the cram sheet alone was worth the price paid for the book. Now, speaking of what kind of books to get, I was always a fan of the Dummy series or the Complete Idiot's Guides. And the reason for that is because they were easy reads. They were written in plain English and the authors would routinely write jokes as part of the chapters. This would keep me entertained while learning the material. Other books I would buy would be the all-in-one series. In terms of reading the material, try to finish the entire book no later than 1 month. That may seem like more than enough time, but trust me, life happens, and that time will pass by before you know it. All of a sudden, you realize that a month isn't a huge amount of time it originally seemed, but by being dedicated and diligent, you can get through the material in that month and then move on to the next phase of the plan. Take practice tests, tons of them. So after you get in the gist of the material from the book of your choice, it's time to test yourself. The first set of questions should be in the book that you purchased. So you want to start off by testing yourself against those questions to see how you fare. And you want to make note of your strengths and weaknesses and read up on the chapters that you're weaker in and retake the practice exam. Now, after you have the questions in the book down, you want to go online and get some more questions. There are reputable sources online that will supply you with great exam questions for a fee. Now, I know that doesn't excite a lot of people, but the investment is worth it to place you in position to pass the real thing. There are also apps on your phone that also offer great questions. Again, this is not a paid endorsement, but an app that I used was called Pocket Prep. And the makers of this app had practice questions for whatever exam I was studying for at the time. The questions were good, and it contained a large bank of questions. And now there was a practice mode, which gives you the answer after each question, and a certification mode, which mirrors the feel of the real exam. It's a great app, and I recommend that it be considered as a source for your study preparations. So how long should I take these practice exams? And when will I feel like I'm ready? The answer? When you're consistently scoring 80% or higher on each test. 80% is more than enough to pass the exam, and once you achieve that every time, you're ready for the real thing. Step 4, the day before the exam. So on the day before the exam, my recommendation, just chill. If you're taking the exam at the testing facility, make sure you know how to get to the center and make note of any traffic conditions, parking restrictions, and anything else that you may encounter on exam day. If you're taking the test remotely, make sure your computer is working, make sure it's all patched up, charged up, and tested. You don't want any hiccups on exam day, and Microsoft does have this annoying habit of installing patches at the worst possible time. So do yourself a favor, knock all of that out the day before. In terms of cramming, my advice is don't. At this point, you're ready. Spend the day relaxing and keeping yourself calm, cool, and collected. Eat a healthy dinner, pray or meditate, anything that you can do to relax, and make sure that you go to sleep at a decent hour. Make sure you get your 8 hours so that you're well rested for test day. Step 5, test day. Okay, so on the day of the exam, you want to continue to relax. You want to eat a healthy breakfast, continue to pray and meditate, and as exam time nears, if you're taking the test at a testing center, you want to leave with enough time to ensure you arrive 15 minutes early. This will allow you some time to read that cram sheet one more time, check in with the facility, dump your pockets, and lock up all your electronics in the locker provided, as well as take that last-minute bathroom break. The proctor will sit you down at the terminal, give you your last-minute instructions, and then allow you to begin the exam. Now, if you're taking the exam remotely, use the bathroom before anything else. Turn on your computer early and make sure everything is running properly. Log in as soon as you're allowed to, and make sure you have all the documentation required and your space is free of clutter. Leave nothing to chance. Leave your cell phones, smartwatches, notes, all of that stuff, just put it in another room. You do not want to be accused of cheating. The proctor, more often than not, will make you take pictures and videos of your workspace so that he or she can verify that all is well. Listen for any last-minute instructions and start your exam. So some exam tips. You want to read each question and all possible answers completely before selecting your answer. Answer the easy questions first and flag the ones you aren't sure of. When answering the questions, trust your gut, which more often than not is your first answer. And after you've gone through all the questions on your first pass, take a mental break, maybe a minute or two, and afterwards go through the questions you flagged and try to narrow down the possible answers down to 2 responses. Then trust that gut again. Pick the answer that makes the most sense to you. Make sure you have answers for all the questions on the exam, and even the ones that you have no earthly idea what the answer is. After that, hit the submit button and wait for your results. If you pass, congratulations. Grab the printout of your report and go celebrate. Now, if you failed, take the report and make note of the areas in which you scored low. Take the rest of the day off from studying. Don't worry about doing anything remotely related to the exam. Now, on the next day, go back to the lab and study up on the areas you were weak in. Take more practice exams with different questions and try to take the test again in about 2 weeks. If, for some reason, you fail again, don't give up. Go back to the lab again and do a deep dive on the material. Consider getting another book and reading from another perspective. Try to test again once you're confident in your preparation. And that's it. If you follow the steps outlined, you should be able to pass any certification exam. And I know that some exams are harder than others, but the basic formula is the same. Put the time in, study the material, and score high on the practice exams, then ace the real thing. If you found this video to be helpful, please like it and share it with others. And also please consider subscribing, as your support would definitely help to grow this channel and help me to help others get into the field of cybersecurity. Until next time, this is Kevin. Take care.